Ministry Lunch and Learn. We are blessed to have Rick Martinez, who is a recruiter, CEO of his own company, R2 Technologies. And I'm just going to keep that very brief. He is a fellow Catholic and servant leader, and I'll let him tell a little bit more about himself and just get right on with the presentation, because I know he has so much that you all are wanting to know. And answering the biggest question, one of the biggest questions that I get is, why are they not calling me back? So go ahead, Rick, I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you, Tracy. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for taking the time. Hopefully, we'll make this a nice presentation. I'm going to go ahead and see if, hopefully, everybody can see my presentation and see the first slide here.
We got
Yes.
it.
Great. Tracy, if you don't mind, two things. If you can watch the chat and see if there's questions that come up with that. I know sometimes people may want to type a question in there. I prefer interruptions. I prefer you ask the question as I go through my dialogue. Please, you don't need to wait to the end of my presentation to ask any questions. But also, my goal is to leave about 10 to 15 minutes at the end to ask us for other specific questions that I may not cover that you can go ahead and address as well. So
and feel free to use your raise the hand button in Teams to do that. That way we'll know that you have a question.
Sure, that works great. The other thing is that let's see, as we go through all this, I'm get accused of speaking fast, and I might do that a little bit today just because I want to make sure we have plenty of time as we go through. I have until 1 o'clock today. So let's just talk about me. I have an organization. My company is called R2 Technologies. We do placements and staffing, specifically in the IT industry. 90% of what I'm going to talk about today, 95% is going to be generic for all professions, for all job seekers, for all people in transition right now. So you should be able to do that. I'm just still one individual. I've been in business 29 years. I am a job seeker every day. I do not have a guaranteed salary as a business owner. I am here working as much as you all are, trying to find opportunities as well. So please, hopefully you won't take it's okay to disagree, to have different points of view. That's perfectly fine. I enjoy that dialogue. I have a degree in computer science. I worked in the professional world for, I tell people I had a real job back when I worked for Mobil Oil and Frito-Lay, PepsiCo, Citigroup, and some other organizations. And I'm based here in Plano, and primarily our work is here in North Texas. So my goal, my request to you for taking this hour with me is try to find 2 to 3 things that I'm going to be presenting that you can use in your job search. I'm going to be talking, a lot of things are going to be obvious. A lot of things are going to be things that you already do today, and perfect, that's great. My goal is to kind of maybe give you another option, another opportunity, another approach that you can do to complement what you're doing today. So what I always like doing is I always like talking about the economy, and the best way to talk about it is from a labor and employment viewpoint. And my goal is, don't always listen to the news. That's not going to be your best opportunity to listen to things that are growing and are great. I apologize if anyone has a news background, but that's just what as a business owner, that's what I want to be. So let's talk about North Texas. So North Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth, Alliance Airport, Denton, Irving, down even to Waco, that area. Our area, this particular sector, we have 53 Fortune 500 companies that are headquartered here. So 53 out of 500. We actually have the most headquarter companies in Texas than any other state in the U.S. If you look, New York has 51, California has 50. But since in the last 14 years, we've had 175 new corporate headquarters move here. Look at some of the statistics. We have 7.5 million people in North Texas. The minimum age is around 35 years old. The slide's a little bit slower. The slides at 24, we're now up to 53 Fortune 500 headquarter company. We have a labor force of 4 million. We have 33 colleges And the point is being people are moving here. They're moving at a rate of 1,400 people a day are moving their families into Texas as a whole. Two new companies that just announced moving here, Caterpillar and Goldman Sachs. Other companies that are moving here in the next 18 months are Tesla, Oracle, and Amazon. You've already seen, if you drive to the airport at all, you've seen the large distribution centers that Amazon has right now. So let me tell you why this is important. And before I talk about that, so okay, there's 53 headquarter companies. You know a lot of what those are. You know, for example, it's going to be ExxonMobil, it's going to be McKesson, it's going to be Southwest Airlines, it's going to be American Airlines, it's going to be some of the other companies here. The goal from this slide is, along with those 53 Fortune headquarter companies, there are hundreds, and I literally there are hundreds of suppliers to these companies. And you need to add to your job search, to your research, the major suppliers to these Fortune 500, to these 53 companies, and target those companies for your job search. Because again, if you're a supplier to American Airlines, to a Southwest Airlines, to a McKesson, to some of these other companies, D.R. Horton and others, they have a number of suppliers, and those suppliers are hiring as well. And that's another opportunity for you to go and look and seek out who they are. You may ask, how do I find out who those vendors are? I don't know who they are. With very simply, these Fortune 500 companies are all public companies. You can go online and look at their annual reports. In their annual reports, they always indicate companies that they are very thankful for, that they're their supplier, as making key contributions to their success. And that's a simple way to go find out who those suppliers are. So the U.S. economy, there's projected to add 4.7 million jobs in the next 8 years. And yes, you only need one. So let's talk more specifically. North Texas, the latest statistics showed there are 1 million open jobs today. There are over a million. These are non-farm related jobs. Now, what that means is that there are numerous positions open, and of course, we all know that they're asking, the job descriptions are asking about very specific things a lot of times, and we'll talk about those. But for those of you that are in IT, simply put, there are over 21,000 open IT jobs. So those are companies hiring today just in North Texas trying to fill. So if you do your work, if you work in a consistent, planned way, you should be able to find a job out of the million jobs that are open here right now. And let's talk about how we can start doing that. So I understand countless people have been in transition or so, and I'm going to talk about a number of reasons today of how you may become frustrated, how you can spend time, how you can just apply and submit resumes. But let me tell you about some of the reasons why recruiters aren't calling you back. Let me tell you some of the things that you should be doing better, that you should be addressing, and that may be able to help fix why this is happening. And let's talk about this. One other thing to bring up is my presentation is available. Tracy, I believe I already sent it to you.
You did. Yes,
You can send it. You could put it on a new website. You could put it on a baseball card. You could put it on an email distribution list. I'm perfectly happy. You can share this anywhere you'd like. Believe it or not, 70% of resumes submitted to recruiters have spelling mistakes. Not only that, they have incorrect contact information. Believe it or not, we try to call people and the numbers is not correct. People have transposed numbers or so. A lot of times on these job-based systems, they have a job ID and they get routed to that job ID. And you, again, you put the wrong job ID, you put an old job ID. Clients, when they have a job that's open for a certain length of time, they take it down, they tweak it, they put in, issue a new job ID. And if you're still trying to pursue something because you've been looking at this job for the last 6 weeks, and you just send another email or some other contact with that same job ID, it gets rerouted to the old job that's now been inactive. So my point is here is to check, recheck, and double check. I said, well, I did my spell check. I looked at it all. Here's what happened. A lot of times, a lot of us share computers. We share them with our spouse, with our significant other, with family members, with students and such. And there, all that has to be is one person that when they're doing a spell check, they say add to dictionary, add to dictionary. And instead of correcting the and correcting the word in the resume, they add it to the dictionary, and it's never caught. So now when you're running it, trying to do your due diligence to make sure that resume is error free, it's going through all those patterns that have already been done. So a lot of times, I will talk about accountability partners. Send your resume to an accountability partner, have them to run a spell check on it, run it on another computer, run a spell check. You'll be shocked. You really will be shocked of how many times that you'll catch a spelling error that you thought your resume was in that perfect form. So
The
that's
other
one.
thing I want to add there too is your voicemail. Make sure that someone can leave a voicemail. I'm sure that's probably a pet peeve for you as well, Rick, but people want to call you and you should be able to get a message.
And not only that, check it. If you
Yeah.
sometimes people don't set up your voicemail, other times your voicemail's full. And recruiters are only measured about who they can present to a hiring authority. If they can't get a hold of you, you think they're going to be patient and call you 6 or 7 times? No. They'll call you once. If you're a great candidate, they'll call you twice. And if they can't get a hold of you, guess what? They're moving on, and you just lost that opportunity. So please, thank you, Tracy. That's exactly right. Okay, believe it or not,
I have a quick question. I have a quick
Definite.
question. Yeah. So, what about the email? The emails will be also a contact which a recruiter can try to reach out. A candidate whenever maybe the phone call on the phone call the candidate is not available, or maybe the voicemail also is full. Do you think the email can be the right contact just to reach out the candidate?
your goal is to have as many different ways that someone can reach out to you as possible. And yes, email is just as important as everything else. But again, a lot of jobs today, and I'm going to talk from two different perspectives. You have recruiters that work for a company that are trying to fill internal jobs. And then you have recruiters like myself that are third-party agencies that are working for multiple companies that have multiple different kinds of parameters and processes. Some are time-centric, some are company-centric, and it's countless. So if I have the opportunity with my recruiters, call someone and can state they found your resume, they're calling you because they want to schedule an interview, they will call you. And if you're a solid candidate, they will email you. Um, and if they have the time, they'll come back and do it again. But they want to, if they can get you the first time, that's the best time. So you want to give them as many chances as they can where they can reach out to you. So yes, emails are just as important, but don't think, oh, okay, my voicemail's full, but my email works, so I'll just check that. Again, you have to make it convenient for them to reach out to you. Which
Same with LinkedIn messages too. Those have to be checked. You might not be your favorite social media platform, but if you're in a job search, you have to be available and responsive on all of the platforms.
daily,
Okay.
not checked once a week. So back to that. Please also you need to have a professional email. Bunny here, hot times, fly at night at gmail.com. Have some way to put your kind of name, make it a professional name for your email account. That's always important. We see more today because of DEI, diversity, equality, and inclusion. They are companies frown away, or they distance themselves. Frown is maybe too strong of a word. They distance themselves from looking at people's hobbies, political affiliations, any of those things. It's best just to keep those off. Try to keep it there. And other resume mistakes. I mean, punctuation, be consistent. If you're using bullets, stay in a bullet format. If you're using paragraphs, stay in paragraph format. I can't tell you how many times I've seen resumes that are in different fonts because you've been working on it and come back and work on it again and come back. So it's always best to have 3 different people. This is a perfect example. There's a couple dozen people here, to share resumes around each other and just look at things. You can't believe, especially when you look at it every day for your resume, you try to make it the perfect document, how many things that someone else could catch just by taking a look at it. So that's something else. That's another reason why someone's, if the job is a project manager where it's critical that they have an attention to detail and they use semicolons and commas and periods interspersed throughout their resume, that's my first indication that they don't really have an attention to detail. I'm not even going to pick up the phone. I'm not even going to call them. No matter how wonderful they are, I'm just going to move on to someone else. That's the way I'm going to do things. Okay. Um, the other thing is that you want to challenge yourself in your resume, and I'm sure Tracy's mentioned this. I know Greg mentioned this in the job career fair last month. You need to try to find action verbs. You need to find tangible deliverables and accomplishments in your resume. Now, that doesn't mean every single phrase, every single bullet, every single paragraph has to say this, but the goal is to have with each job position that you have some sort of measurable, tangible statement in your resume that a hiring authority or recruiter can hook onto. What I mean by measurable, either it's in dollars, it's in budget, it's in time frame, it's in people. Okay. For example, the bullet here, someone could say responsible for a new sales automation project. Okay. If you just put a period there, I'm going to read it and say, so what? Is that because that was something they were interested in? They go to a training class. But now I'm looking at it, it says with a budget of $8 million and was completed 4 weeks ahead of schedule. There is a budget item, there is a deliverable, and there's what I did that was an accomplishment. I went finished it 4 weeks early. So you want to try a simple way to address this question, to try to fix it, is to read your resume and read a sentence or two and ask yourself, so what? Responsible for a new sales automation project. If that's a period there, so what? So what about that? So you have to find again a measurable, tangible out. Now there are a lot of jobs, especially on the creative side. Someone in the social media and the marketing and the may have a little bit more difficult. And yes, not every bullet has to be like this, but your goal is to find those kind of items where you can find it. Maybe you're still part of a large team for a national campaign that had a budget of something. You can still reference that as part of what you've been doing. And when you put those kind of metrics and measurements in your resume, that's the reason why I'm going to reach over and reach to the phone to call you. That's where I'm going to type an email to try to talk to you. So try to find that, and it's going to be hard. But if you sit down and you think about it, you'll be able to find it. And your goal is, like I mentioned before, is to find two bullet items, two sentences in each of the companies that you've worked for the past 10 years, and put some sort of metric or measurement there. That will get people to call you back. So a lot of times we get people that are underqualified that think that, oh yeah, this is a vice president of marketing for this company and the person just graduated from college. We're happy that you graduated. Congratulations to the workforce, but you're probably not going to be the best fit for someone that's looking to hire a vice president. So you want to try, your goal is to find yourself where you can match up to 60% of a qualified job. This is much easier for men than women, and I don't mean to be stereotypical. I am just giving you the facts. Women characteristically try to make sure that they can match up to 90% of a job before they apply. And men, if it's 50%, I can do the rest. I'm there for it. And your goal is to find that balance between the two. So I'm really talking to both of you to, when you look for jobs, as long as you have more than, in the 60% range, it's worthwhile to applying. If it's less than that, you're going to have to find a advocate inside the company to be someone to take you to the hiring manager. And what I mean by advocate, you need to find through LinkedIn, through a networking professional organization, through a social contact, that they can take your resume to the decision maker and sell your story to them. So that's going to be the best ways to do it. So remember that. That's your rule of thumb. For women, don't be so hard and apply to more jobs. And for men, make sure that 60% is at least there so that you can at least have a good chance of being able to be evaluated. Okay, here I go. I'm saying 70% right now. Something else. Now, I can't tell you how many times that I hear a candidate say, oh, I can do all that. They read my resume and they'll interpret it. No, that's not true. Even though it says and what's a project coordinator, I've been a project manager for the last 3 jobs, so that's the same thing. A lot of times the first person that is looking at your resume is going to be a someone in HR, someone that's looking at marketing jobs, at sales jobs, at engineering jobs, at logistics jobs, supply chain. They're looking across their all for their same company. So when they get a job description and they get your resume and they're looking for matches, they're looking for the person's done some of the same things that the job description has, so they can move them on in the process. So if the job description says it's looking for a project coordinator, and then all the requirements describe a project manager, a product owner, a product manager, whatever it may be, you want to change your resume to have the same title that they're looking for, because a recruiter sometimes in these complicated roles can't easily match those up as quickly. And again, their goal is to go through their measure based upon how many resumes they evaluate, how many people they do. And so, I don't say uh, exaggerate or make up things of what you've done, but if it's the same thing that you're doing, it means the same thing, you want to match it up to that job title. That's going to give you your best chance for them to want to be able to reach out to you and talk to you about that. Um, the bottom line is never assume that the recruiter knows what you do, because you just have to interpret it and all. That's not their job. Your job is to help them make their job easier, that you're going to be a solid candidate for them there. Okay. Yes. A lot of times we hear that someone, is looking for different things, and I can be a quick learner. I haven't done it. I've been in banking all this time, and this is a healthcare job. That's where your metrics is going to give you your best chance. The metrics of being able to demonstrate what you've done, either from an accountability, from a budgetary, from a schedule time frame, from a team member size, for a number of modules you've incorporated, whatever that metric may be. That's how they're going to determine that. Secondly, when if you're not qualified, or you're trying to, let's say you've been in banking all your life and now you want to get into healthcare, again, you haven't demonstrated that you can be successful in the healthcare industry yet. That's going to be the best way for you to pursue that particular opportunity in that healthcare organization, is by finding an internal advocate and becoming connected with them, for example, through LinkedIn or such. So that's my.
Rick, Lisa had a question. Lisa, go ahead. Okay. Sorry about that. If you are not able to talk, you can type the question to me, and I'll say it later.
Please.
Okay. Sorry about that.
No, of course. Okay. So like I said, when you're not qualified.
Okay. So her question, I'm so sorry. She said, how do you determine metrics for behavior changes?
So I'm not an expert in that area. I'd have to look at your resume and have a one-on-one dialogue. Again, when you say behavior metrics, is that from a counseling individual standpoint, or is that from a change manager within a company? It's hard to say.
From adoption of change. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I understand the question either. Why don't you message me your contact info, and we'll address that offsite. I don't know that we understand that question exactly.
And I have my email at the end. You can reach out to me as well. We can maybe talk for 5 or 10 minutes as well. So like I mentioned, when you're not qualified, when you're not mentioned up, or like you said, you've had a long, successful career in finance and you want to get into healthcare, you need to find a way to network. LinkedIn is a great tool that you can do there at your house, on your couch, at your kitchen table. Another way is to get out and find the professional organizations. There's all kinds of professional organizations for any industry, for most any kind of large profession category. Find those meeting places. A lot of them are beginning to meet now. We've been seeing in the last 6 months, they're meeting back in person. Sometimes more than half of them charge for they're doing a luncheon meeting, or a breakfast meeting, or a after hours meeting. Most of them, and when I mean most of them, in the 90%, if you reach out to the coordinator, to the administrator and say, I'm in transition. This is a difficult for me to pay the $35 or the $50 meeting. Would it be would it be okay if I could attend this next meeting as a guest? And I've never heard of anyone being turned away. So they may only let you go 1 or 2 times, but still that's your opportunity to network. That's your opportunity to find that person that may be your advocate for you in that healthcare industry. So again, I have to challenge you. It's looking for jobs is going to be one of the hardest things you're going to do. But if you do all the things that we're suggesting, you have the best opportunity. You'll understand why it's going to be the best chance for you to find this job. And then when you meet up with that person, try to learn about them. Don't just say, hey, can you help me? Here's what I need. Here's my resume. But say, hey, so how long have you been there? So what do you like about the company? So tell me about your, people love talking about what they're doing. And then they always reciprocate. Well, what can I do for you? Tell me about your background. Oh, I'm in transition. And thank you for asking. And just go about that way. It's a dual, it's a bi-directional dialogue there. Okay, believe it or not, every time before any of my recruiters will pick up the phone and call you, they will go and search you out. They want to make sure your LinkedIn profile is generally the same as your resume that you sent. They're going to look for you on Twitter or X, what it's called today, on Facebook, on Instagram. Again, our goal is to not have surprises. We're not looking for, you can definitely on all the social medias. I'm not saying not to go on those, and we are all happy that you celebrated your birthday, or that you went on a trip, or that you met someone for coffee, or that you went to a sporting event. That's all terrific. We kind of are hesitant when we see you standing on top of a table with a lampshade, or talking about how you couldn't remember what happened last night, things like that. So again, believe it or not, we are always checking. We always do that before. Hey, this is my free time. I can do what I want. Exactly. But again, we're trying to find people that are going to be successful in the organization, and none of us want surprises. So I'm sorry, it's a hard fact. We will go and look at those things, and I just challenge you to refrain from putting things that would not be professional, that you wouldn't want a recruiter, a future employer, to look at or to see. Let's see. So only post appropriate information. That's the bottom line, And again, that also pertains to political, social things of opinion. Any things that you rant. Believe it or not, people unfortunately talk about prior companies, and all those things are things that you want to refrain from. So that's my point there. So let's talk a bit about salary. Okay. The two things is companies have multiple perspectives. Some companies post all their salaries, the salary ranges, others post none. Some states require salaries to be posted. I'm not going to talk about those. The point being is that you have to be prepared of when the salary doesn't match up with your expectations. Let's talk a little bit how to do that. I encourage you, there's multiple salary calculators out there. You can go out there, cnn.salary.com is a strong that we use. I think Indeed has one that you can use as well. There's about 4 or 5 that are creditable salary indicators or calculators. You can put in there a job title, you can put in their number of years of experience, and you can put in their geography. It'll come back with a estimated salary for that position. And then now you have a range, and now you have to think, is for this job that you're applying for, this role, is that range suitable to something that's acceptable to you? The same job will pay one price here in Dallas, that will pay different in San Francisco, that'll pay different in New York, that'll pay different than Miami. So again, you just want to have your research, because that is a part of the dialogue of every recruiter. And here's something that you can, again, agree with or disagree with. And again, I apologize for the HR folks out there that they definitely will have an opinion. But when you are applying online and they ask you for a salary, I recommend that you put in there in that salary request $1,000. Your salary is $1,000. Any recruiter that sees that knows that you're just doing that because you want to have a dialogue with them. No one knows, well, okay, I'm gonna call this person because I can pay them $1,000. No one knows that. But and because we say to do that because a lot of systems won't let you continue in the application process until you put a figure in there. But never is there a system that validates that figure to be accurate. They just want a non-zero value in there. So your goal, remember, your goal is to get in front of somebody to sell yourself and to talk about why you're a good fit for this position. And if you put on and the salary, if the salary range is 80 to 100K, and you obviously say because you have 25 years experience, you need 120K. You know, as a recruiter, I'm probably not going to call you first. I might put you to the side because you maybe have the great fit, but I'm going to find people that are in my salary range first. But if you put $1,000, I don't know until I talk to you, and so that's another reason for me to call you. So that's my suggestion. That's what you should. And then when you do talk to them, and they say, let's pay us 80K. Well, based upon CNN.salary.com, this salary of this position is between 95 and 120, and that's the reason why I'm looking for 105. Again, you're now referencing this your salary expectation based upon facts and based upon details. So that's how I would suggest that you would handle salary.
So Rick, we had another question. One question was, why do recruiters who have already interviewed you and promised to never to follow you never contact you again?
So ask it one more time, make sure I get it right.
So why would a recruiter who's already interviewed you and promised to follow never contact you again?
Maybe follow up with you. Is that what?
Yes, follow up with you.
Well, what happens I'll talk to you from an agency standpoint, from a third party, because that's a better thing to do. My recruiters are measured based upon people that are placed, and the only way people are going to be placed is people that are interviewed. So what ends up happening in those situations is that the position goes on hold. The position has been redirected along a different path. They wanted 7 years, now they want 15 years. They wanted someone that's on site, now they want someone that can travel. So something changes drastically, or all of a sudden the position has been filled, or there are people in the interview queue. Now, from an agency standpoint, we coach our team to create that relationship and come back and say, hey, John, the position's now been put on hold. Hey, Mary, they've redirected. They now want someone with 15 years experience. But I'm not going to fire someone if they don't get back to somebody with the latest update. I will fire them if they don't have a certain number of interviews, people that are submitted, people that are placed every week. And so they are measured based upon that. So when you're measured based upon certain things, you're going to focus more on those things. And sometimes other items like the follow-up, like giving timely updates, don't happen because there's only so much time in a day. It's a terrible excuse, and I wish we're all guilty of it, but that's just the reality of it. And again, their goal is being measured and being productive. And when you're talking to 20 to 40 people a day, they can't return back 40 calls. They can't send back 40 emails. They're focusing on the people that they're interviewing the next day.
Yeah. So yes, thank you. And I know it is hard. It's really not fun to be in the shoes, and because this is important to you, and you don't want to feel like just a number. And the reality of, the recruiter sometimes is a matter of volume and how many people they have to get through and the pressures that they have to try to fill those roles. So Adrienne, what question did you have?
Yes, with regards to salary, when you're asked to in an interview by a hiring manager and someone like myself who's had lots of experience, when they ask you about your salary expectations, what I have normally done, and I don't know if this is the way I should answer, I'm trying to get a perspective on this. I normally tell them what I have made at my my last position, but I also say I'm flexible with depending on salary, commissions, and benefits, a total package. So I don't know, is that the way to answer, or do you have a better suggestion?
No, that's a really good way. Well, if the salary is not listed on the job
Mhm.
when you're looking into it, that's a very good way. Alternately, the only other option, or the second or alternative option is to say, salary is important, but really I'm more interested in the fit and the opportunity and my growth. I know this company is very reputable. I know they pay fairly, and I think that's something that I'm going to be very comfortable with. I would like to make sure that we match up on all these other areas first
Okay.
and see if and sometimes that works as well. Other
Okay.
times they do want to hear that, and I think what you said is perfectly fine. Um, so I think either one is it's just where you're comfortable in having that dialogue with.
Is
Uh,
it also okay to say, "Hey, I have some flexibility there,"
yes,
with okay, okay, all right,
and the other thing to say, like I mentioned earlier, and so my last salary was X, and based upon again CNN.salary.com or Dice.com or Monster.com or CareerBuilder.com, for this particular role, based upon the research I've done, it shows a range between 70 and 90. You know, that
okay,
way you are validating the salary that you are making
okay.
and what you're looking for.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm gonna go through a little bit faster so we can have some time for work. Okay. My point is here is to always be networking. Some of you may be well enough to have a plan that says I'm going to apply to 10 jobs a week or 10 jobs a day, or I'm going to find a way to talk to 3 people a week. One of your other accountabilities that you should do is how many people you're going to connect with on LinkedIn. Do that, and that should be another accountability. That'd be something else on your plan that you should be doing, because you're going to find the best. I'm sure most of you can agree the best jobs that you found in your career have been the ones that you found through your network. Well, if you grow your network, you have more opportunities to pursue that. Okay. Now, when you talk to your recruiter, tell them about your value, talking about your tangible metrics and measurements, how that matches up. Again, feed them the information. The job description says these 3 things. Here's how I match up to that. Here's the compensation that I'm looking for based upon CN.com, based upon what I was doing before. So you want to do that because they are interviewing you, but they want to hear how they can sell you to their client, how they can sell you to their hiring manager. Um, I tell people to have notes. Remember, I mentioned I'm very, very big on your resume being metric driven. And this is a chance when you're talking to the recruiter, when you send that email applying for this job, when you have a chance to have the message there, highlight one thing. I don't want to talk about cover letters because it's a whole nother topic, but if it's in your cover letter or just in your introduction, talk about 1 or 2 or 3 items that you did that matches up succinctly with that job description. And that's why they'll it gives them the reason to open up your resume and do something there. Keep a job log. Keep a track of when you applied, when you sent your resume to Capital One, when you sent your resume to Baylor Scott and White, so that you have an idea about this, so you know when you applied to that. That's going to help you better understand your plan and how your plan is working for you. And then be timely when you talk to the recruiter. Texting again, just like Tracy and I both mentioned, respond to them. They aren't going to wait a week for you. I mean, because you're visiting your brother in Austin. If they're calling you, you need to respond. If not, they are going to move. And that's when you can follow up as well. Um, one other thing, one way for someone to respond back to you, one way for them, again, recruiters are trying to fill positions that are important to their organization, whether it's both from an HR standpoint or from a staffing third party standpoint. One other way to differentiate yourself, one other way for them to remember your name when this job comes through their email or through their job board or from their sales manager or from their hiring manager or their VP, is you say, oh, you know what? What's another job that maybe I can help you with? What's a category? They're talking to you about a project manager job. And you say, well, I'm looking for a supply chain analyst that does costing. Oh, okay, great. You know what? Let me look through my network and see if I know somebody. If you can find a way to pay it forward, get John Smith to contact this recruiter, because John Smith is a sales supply chain person. You're not a supply chain person. You're a project manager. What you're doing is not going to affect your job search at all. But now you have an opportunity for this other person, someone that you know you can help them, and they possibly have a chance and opportunity to get that job. Guess what? That recruiter remembers you. That recruiter puts you at the top of their list as if I'm thinking about jobs. That's the way for them. Another way to call, hey, I know you said you're going to send my resume last week. I didn't know if you had any update on that. Oh, and by the way, is there any new job I can help you with? Maybe my network I can reach out for. Again, that's, well, I still don't have an update. The manager went to Tahiti and supposed to be back next week, but thanks for asking. And now I'm looking for a marketing social media person. Okay, well, again, now I'm responding back with feedback because you gave me a chance to ask you for something too. Again, that's just a simple way. That's going to help you be in front of recruiters for them to want to talk to you for different jobs. So hopefully my goal was to talk to you and tell you that there's a million jobs here in Texas. There's over 20,000 IT jobs. Where I know you're in transition and you have to work for it, but it is important that you have a plan, that you work your plan, and that you measure to your plan at the end of the week, because it does take time. You can't just do this part-time. You can't just do this between soap operas. You can't just do this between taking all your social media and such. You have to have a plan that's going to make you accountable. And then find someone, not a spouse, find someone maybe else in transition, find someone that you've respected before, find someone respected from, like in a previous work organization, find someone from church, but let them be accountable and make sure that they hold you accountable to your plan and everything. Lastly, I'll just bring this up as an added tidbit. Tracy mentioned about looking for LinkedIn also for messages, people replying, because a lot of my recruiters reach out by LinkedIn as well. Update your resume, update your social media platform daily. If you have a resume on LinkedIn, if you have a resume on Monster, Career Builder, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, whatever it may be, here's why. And when I mean update can be changing a comma to a semicolon, can be bolding and unbolding, can be capitalizing. It doesn't have to be a rework or completely change. When as a recruiter and I get a new job and they're looking for a CPA that has experience in the travel industry, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to those job boards. I'm going to go to LinkedIn and put in accounting and CPA and travel, or Travelocity or Expedia or hotels or something like that. Guess what? I'm going to get a result set. I'm going to get pages back. I'm only going to look at the first 2, maybe 3 pages, and then I'm going to move on to some other thing. Well, all these computer systems, they don't know what you've updated. All they know that something's changed. Like I said, a comma's changed to a period, a capitalized has changed to a lowercase. Now your last change date is within the last day. So one of the criterias that every recruiter does is that's show me a CPA that's in accounting, that's in hospitality, that's updated the resume in the last week. Because I'm not going to call somebody that's had their resume out there for a month, because they can have a job and I'm just wasting my time. I'm only going to, and then I'll look at those lists. So when you make those updates, you're going to be in the top part of any result set as a recruiter is out there looking. And the reason that holds true, when you are searching, when you're on Amazon and you're buying something, how many times do you go past the second page? And that's the same reason it holds true in job searches and all. So that's kind of what I have. I wanted to make sure that I gave plenty of time, or at least 10 minutes here, for questions. So hopefully there might be 1 or 2.
I'm sure there is. Who wants to go first? Okay, so another question. We were told not to blast out our profile changes. I guess on LinkedIn. I'm not sure what that means. So you can turn off like the editing. There's settings to where you can have it so not everyone's going to see every update that you make. You do want to make sure that that setting is turned off if you're making changes and not your whole entire network is going to be notified every little change that you make. But I'm not sure what else that was meaning on that.
I've got one, Tracy. Rick, what are your thoughts on sidestepping the talent acquisition person and going directly to the hiring manager, even if that hiring manager is not on the LinkedIn thing? I've dealt with several recruiters, and like you said, they're hiring for 15 types of different roles, and they don't even understand what the job is that they're hiring for. So sometimes I just go directly. I find out who that person is at the company, and I go direct. What are your general thoughts here? I mean, I try to be not too abrasive when I do it, but maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
Oh no, I'm all in. If you could find the hiring manager, if you could find a person that reports to the hiring manager, if you could find his peer, you want to go there first. Only, I'll go as far as saying only as a last resort should you go through a HR portal. You should do every effort that you can to find every person in that network that you can reach out to before you, because once you're in the HR portal, you just have to sit back and hope that they look at you.
All right, thanks.
So do you mean if they do say apply online here, should that be done in conjunction with other methods, or you're saying just hold off on that completely?
No, you can do it in conjunction, but don't just say, I applied a couple one. They're going to call me back and they're going to give me this. Pat me on the back. I'm going to go and round and go. At that same time, okay. And then you can tell them, I applied to this job ID, Mr. Manager. Here's my background. Here's the reason why I think I'm a fit for this job. By the way, I happen to know John and Bill and Sally. They can also talk about me. And then go to John, Bill, and Sally. Hey, I applied. Here's the job rec. Here's the hiring manager. Can you reach out and talk to them about me? Boy, that's good. And now all of a sudden the hiring manager says, hey, I want to look at Gary. And they go to HR. Can you set this up? Well, let me see. Oh yeah, there he's right here. I was going to call him right a minute ago. So, and now all of a sudden you made them look good. Yeah, every chance you get, you want to do that as much as possible.
Hey, Rick,
Thanks.
one question. I'm not sure if that is what you can answer, but if it says easy apply on LinkedIn, should I apply on LinkedIn with easy apply, or is it better to go to that particular company and apply on their website? Not sure if you can help with that.
So both of them, so they go into different placeholders. So I would go and apply this to them both. Yeah, LinkedIn doesn't cost all of these different HR systems or so. They're both independent. So yes, again, you want to increase your chances of opportunities being called. I mean, gosh, wouldn't it be terrible if two different recruiters called you for the same job with the same company? Shame on you.
Yeah, but make sure you're applying with the same resume. If you have multiple different versions of your resume, LinkedIn, I know you might have certain profiles saved. Make sure that it's not drastically different.
Yeah, that's one other thing to bring up. There's many things you can talk about from a job seeker standpoint. Again, this is a hard statement to make, so it's up to you if you want to take it or not. I encourage professional job seekers, project managers, sales professionals, almost any type of person in a professional background. You should try to have 30 different versions of your resume. Now, again, they're not, I don't care. I don't mean 30 different formats, 30 different, ways that you say things, but they've been modified based to match up to what the job description. Again, if one company calls your job project coordinator, other company's going to call that, a project specialist, project initiator, other companies. So you're going to, again, those are the slight modifications that I'm talking about. And you just want to keep those and call them, this is Sally Smith, project manager resume, Sally Smith, project coordinator, Sally Smith, project initiator. And then you will use those when you apply to those jobs, because I believe when you build up to 30, then you know that you're working the best way you can to match up to the jobs that you're applying to. Until you do, there's work you can still be doing. Yeah, remember,
Thanks.
Don't fall back on that crutch that says, oh, they'll read this and they'll get what I'm doing. They'll know it. No, they do not.
Yes, so we had a question from Sanjeet. If you're offered an interview on location on out of state, should you go ahead and take the interview even if you're not sure about moving out of state?
Oh, it depends. If you have no interest, then I would say you'd have to pass. If there's some interest, then you may end up finding, even though many companies have corporate policies about being on site, being hybrid, we also see a lot of companies with exceptions today. Now, if you're firm in the ground and you cannot move for a reason, please be considered to not waste people's time, or say, I know this is a great opportunity. I really have high interest in it. Unfortunately, with you and my family situation, don't go into all the reasons why. Nobody wants to hear that your dog enjoys his backyard. But just say, due to family reasons, at this time, I'm not able to relocate. But I would, can we still pursue this opportunity? Let them make the decision. So.
Great. Okay, and I think we probably have one more time for one more question, Gary.
Yeah, Rick, what's your best answer to, oh, you're overqualified?
I would use, again, it's not one best answer. You want to just think of it this way. When a company is hiring someone, they're trying to solve a problem. They're not trying to do you a favor. They don't like that you play golf also. They don't like that both of you like the Depeche Mode. They're trying to solve some sort of problem. So when they say you're overqualified or this is it, but here's how I can help solve the problem that you're hiring for. And here's the reason why I want to take the step in this direction, because I know that I have this much experience in this area. This is an opportunity where I can still grow, where I can challenge myself. I can use the tools and the experience that I have in these areas, in these reasons, because I've managed these multi-billion-dollar projects. I brought in these type of accounts. I sold these type of products. I can do that for you. That's what they want to hear. That's why we go and search social media, because we don't want to hire a problem to find another one. We're trying to solve a problem. So that's how the best way.
Okay,
Even though it's a vague answer.
Great. Okay, well, this has been a fabulous talk. We're so appreciative, and I can tell by the number of questions and engagement on the call that others felt the same way. So thank you so much. Rick, is it okay if they connect with you on LinkedIn?
Always.
Or what would you prefer? Is there any way that you prefer they contact or do not contact you?
Oh, no, I may not reply back quickly, but I'll be happy to reply back. LinkedIn, I accept any and every LinkedIn request. And
Yeah,
so,
just
of course,
be sure to do it on a computer so that you can write a note. That's always the best practice. You want to let people know that you heard him on this meeting, and that will increase his chances for accepting.
Thank you, Tracy.
Awesome.
Thanks for the invitation.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Y'all all have a blessed day, and know that you are in our prayers, and reach out if there's any ways we can help. Take care.
Thank you.
Good luck,
Bye.
everyone.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I enjoyed